All right. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Derita Matters, September 5th, 2024. And I will be dropping off. So we'll just do a quick round of introductions. And I'll make the notes on who's in the meeting. Of course, I could watch the recording later, but we'll just do introductions and then I'll hand it over to Joseph to take it from there. I am Teresa McDonald. I am a resident of Derita since 2007, a realtor since 2005, and also on the City of Charlotte Planning Commission, Zoning Committee at this time. Derita Statesville Road Community Organization, which is kind of the roots of this meeting, and that is me, and I will just call on you as I see you and just make a quick introduction. Let's go to Joseph.
I'm Joseph Margolis, or you can call me Joe. Most people call me Joe. I have lived in Derita since 2011. I'm on the University City Boulevard, new part of University City Boulevard that used to be Rumpel Road. So I'm in a subdivision or a neighborhood called Michael's Landing. And I currently participate on the UDO Advisory Committee, just offering, and the UDO Advisory Committee is a committee that talks about upcoming proposed changes to our, gives feedback and advice to city officials about their proposed changes to the Unified Development Ordinance, which is has been our new zoning code since June of 2023. Here in Charlotte.
Mel Renner.
Yes. Is my audio on? I hope it is. I serve on the board for the Derita Statesville Business Organization. I'm a retired procurement officer with the City of Charlotte. I have been a HOA president of the Forest Pond community for 18 years in a row. Tend to be as active as possible in the community. So good morning, everyone.
Good morning. Shirley, is that Shirley Clark? All right, let's go to Jack Brosh. Sorry, I see you there.
Good morning, Jack Brosh. I'm on the board for DSRCO, and basically, as of 4 weeks ago, recently retired, joining the ranks of Mel Reiner, and seeing what this other side of life is all about. I'm also on the. I live in Hubbard in Kelsey Glen. And I'm also the Sergeant at Arms of the local American Legion Post 345. And I'll have a little bit of an update for you on that one sometime in this meeting. And I used to be a business intelligence developer, report writer, database administrator, technologist. That's it.
Awesome. Congratulations on your retirement. Now we're going to put you to work.
The church is already taking care of that. Let me tell you.
Okay, too late. Shantae Bullock.
Shantae Bullock, president of Scottsboro HOA.
Thank you. Jill Stevenson, sorry.
Hi, good morning. I am the president of the HOA for General's Point, which is off of Gibbon Road. I've been here for 23 years now.
Awesome. Thank you. I have somebody named iPhone. I don't know who that is. If you could introduce yourself. or is that somebody on the call? Don't know who that is. Can we go back to Shirley? Shirley, do you want to introduce yourself? I'm not sure if that is Shirley Clark from Greenleaf, but okay. Let's go through the various city and county folks that are here. I just lost my nice little screenshot. Okay, Jamila Freelane.
Hi, Jamila Freelane, City of Charlotte, Community Engagement Liaison for the part of Derita that sits in District 1.
Awesome, thank you. Janelle Rosales, County Commission. Oh,
Rosales, I'm with the Office of Economic Development, a program manager in which my focus area is to provide capacity building services to small businesses in the towns across Mecklenburg County, including the community of Derita.
awesome, thank you. Walter Blackman.
Yes, Blackman is fine. Good morning, everybody. Glad to be here. My name is Walter Blackman. I am with the City of Charlotte Economic Development, specifically working with the Corridors of Opportunity program. I serve as Senior Operations Manager, just working on all the implementation of the programs, projects, and partnerships that we have in all 6 corridors, as well as serving as Program Manager.
Awesome, thank you. Brian Horton, Cats.
Yes, thanks, Teresa. Brian Horton with Charlotte Area Transit System, or CATS, Strategic Planning Manager. Thank you.
Awesome, thank you so much. I think we can go to the agenda item with our guests from CATS and the city and the county at this point, and I'm going to hand over to Joseph, and I have to drop off the call, so I'll watch the recording later. I'm very curious and excited about transit opportunities in Derita, and you know, we've got a lot of holes to fill, and Joseph knows a lot about those, as well as all the others on this call, down Gibbon Road, especially down Hubbard Road, University City Boulevard. There are some significant gaps in the existing access to bus or any kind of transit, so excited to hear how we're going to hopefully start to solve some of those problems. And I will leave you to it. Thanks, guys. Thanks for showing up, and thank you so much to Joseph for taking the reins, and I will see you guys next month.
Hey, Teresa,
Yes.
before you drop off, will you make Brian a co-host? Because I'm not seeing an option for me to do that, actually.
Oh, okay, sure.
And then hopefully Brian can make me a co-host after.
I think, let me just see. No,
I'm a co-host now too. Yeah, I'm a co-host. Brian's a co-host. So yeah, all three.
I've got two, so
Okay.
that sounds
Cool.
good. All right, thanks, guys.
Thanks, Teresa.
I'm gonna leave my laptop just running because I don't want to touch anything. And
Okay.
use up anything. I guess I can, I mean, I'm going to turn off my audio.
Okay, Brian. I know that I really appreciate you coming. I know we talked earlier this summer about some of the things that are going on with the Better Bus Plan, and just some of the interesting aspects of Derita's role in all this. Derita's a front runner in getting some of this implemented, and I'll just turn it over to you for you to share your screen and work with your staff with Walter to talk more about how all these great changes that are happening in Derita with busing.
Okay, well, great. And also Walter's going to talk with me because you're right. Derita is at the forefront because there is a capital investment strategy overall that derives a very important part of and all things that city and CATS and other partners, as you've seen, economic development, county or here, neighborhood business services, that really capital investment strategies have evolved. I've seen that since I've been in Charlotte since 2007. And that is that, you speak more sidewalks, infrastructure focus. We'll really look at now the meaningful benefits of infrastructure and how it can really help with quality of life and communities and economic development. So we're happy to be here. And so I'm going to share my screen. Walt is actually going to give you an introduction first about, see here, share. First about our Corps Opportunity Context that led to the RAISE grant that I'm excited to talk about, the Mobility Hub, but it's a much broader strategy than just that.
Yeah, thank you so much, Brian, and thanks again to our host for having us. So I'm just going to give a brief overview just in case there's anyone in this room who has not been in conversations specifically about corridors, and then I'll give you some updates on the projects that we've been doing and just highlight a couple of them, a few of them that are currently active and you may or may not have heard about. So next slide, please. So the Corridors of Opportunity is a city initiative on supporting 6 underinvested areas in Charlotte. As you see on the map, our goals are fostering thriving communities, building lasting legacies, and growing communities equitably. So Sugar Creek is 1 out of 6. Derita sits in Sugar Creek. Next slide, please. So the Corridors of Opportunity projects, we basically work holistically to address the unique needs of each corridor through 6 key themes aligned with the Charlotte Future 2040 plan. So as you see there were 10 themes, and out of the 10, with a lot of work done with the community and with internal subject matter experts, we extracted 6 of those 10 themes, which we felt better represents holistically the needs of not just the corridors community, but just any community in general. So this includes housing access for all, a diverse and resilient economic opportunity, safe and equitable mobility, safe, healthy, and active communities, retaining culture and identity, and an integrated natural and built environment. What Brian is going to be talking to you more about falls within that safe and equitable mobility, being able to provide mobility for all. Next slide, please. So as I talk about the holistic way in which we've worked in each corridor, specifically just looking at Sugar Creek, these are just some of the projects that we've been, the types of projects that we've worked on in Sugar Creek over the past couple of years. We're all familiar with the Staying in Place program, which allows aging and local residents to age and live and stay in their places as development happens around them. The economy and redevelopment that occur is currently underway at the intersection of I-85 near Sugar Creek intersections. We have partnerships that we've had, like Safe Biz, which was a camera program that launched. We are kind of nearing not the end of the phase 1, but basically we've gotten a lot of partnerships with CMPD and local businesses wherein they're utilizing high definition cameras to help decrease crime. There's been a lot of community partnerships. Brian's going to talk to you a little bit more. I'll give you a little overview about the RAISE grant that we got last year from the federal government to do some infrastructure projects along Sugar Creek. I'll talk to you on the next slide about some of these business association and opportunities that have occurred in the Opportunity Hub. So I'll talk about that later. There's a streetlight program that is still underway. And then finally, last but not least, community-based projects. I will also want to add that there is a landscape project that is underway. This is the 2nd year in just filling in the gaps along the Sugar Creek Road, just to ensure that there is a clean, well manicured lawns in areas where the community or the businesses were not able to meet those needs. Next slide, please. And I see a hand raised. I don't know.
Yeah, Jack, I believe.
Yes, please. I was just wondering if the slide deck will be made available to the attendees on the call.
Yeah, I mean, we could send them to Teresa and or Joseph, and they can distribute.
Yeah, I think Teresa, yeah, send them to Teresa because Teresa usually distributes out the any presentations like this that a guest brings and opts to share with us.
Okay.
She does a great job of updating us, so thank you very much. Minimizes your required effort. Thank you.
No problem, no problem. So if you see on the screen, and like I shared earlier, there are a few projects that I'd like to bring to your attention and just highlight. Earlier on, I think it was last year, we started this Business Opportunity Hub grant program where we were establishing hubs in each of the 6 corridors to serve as a physical space for connecting small business owners, entrepreneurs, and residents with financial assistance, access to capital job opportunities, and more. So this is under that diverse and resilient economic opportunity umbrella. And so the hub for Sugar Creek is She Built the City. They were the group that they were awarded that grant, and they are active and underway. The next program I'd like to talk to you is Start, Skill, and Sustain, also known as the S3 grant. So the S3 grant opportunity is where the City of Charlotte offered grants to empower business district organizations in the Corridors of Opportunity using federal funds to support and enhance neighborhood commercial districts through organization building and business support services. And so the S3 grant recipient in Sugar Creek corridor is the Sugar Creek Business Association. And then this opportunity is currently live. That's the Creative Artist Initiative. It's actually the Creative Studio Initiative. Sorry for the typo. And that application has been open. It's actually closing on the 9th. And what that is we're accepting applications for this establishment or sustainability of permanent studio, gallery, performance, or practice spaces within the corridor. If you want more information about this one, I'm going to put the link in the chat so you can share it with any creative organizations that you're aware of. And the final, last but not least, would be the infrastructure projects, the mobility corridor, why we are here today. And just to speak a little bit to the work that we're doing, last year we were granted a federal grant called a RAISE grant. And the projects that were brought forth included 3 mobility hubs, which Brian's going to talk to you about, a multi-use path connecting the light rail. And then we've got some intersection safety improvements included in that project. So I'm gonna turn it over now to Brian so he can dig a little bit into the transit components of this project, and I'll be happy to answer any questions that you have.
Well, thanks, Walter. We're definitely going to both be around for any questions you may have. Definitely want Walter to start because I think we realize transit really serves the greater good, and it is holistic in itself too. It's not just about moving people, but really for access to opportunity, to essential services, to be an active member of your community and really have an impact on the community and be part of the vibrancy of the community and how much you can go to and participate in. So we're here today to kind of give you an update on what we are now calling our Better Bus initiative. Really grew out of Vision My Ride, and want to kind of talk to you about that and really get your input. So a key aspect, though, that's going to build on that is the Derita Mobility Hub. You heard Walter mention the RAISE grant, which is really the overall Sugar Creek Road corridor, all the way from the Sugar Creek Link station on the blue line up to Derita. And of course, there's many improvements that are on the other side 85 or across 85, but really want to focus today, let you know what is in the RAISE grant for the Derita community. And that's the concept of a hub that's really beefing up, enhancing the bus stop here that is there on Mallard Creek Road on the side of the former Food Lion. And now many of you know there's a long-term hub also planned. In fact, maybe hopefully not so long-term given the actions that happened this week in terms of a red line station in Derita that would also be a hub. But this is with this raised grant in hand now, we're thinking like less than 2 years or so that this could be done, as opposed to, of course, red line has definitely moved greatly than it did previously. It's been on the books for over 15 years and kind of had the barrier of what Norfolk Southern Railroad was going to do, but that impetus or that barrier is now removed in terms of railroad, that project can move forward again. But that means actually Derita could potentially have 2 hubs, both this near-term bus hub that will really function well before red line's in place, as well as the opportunity to better tie in the red line station when red line comes to fruition. And that concept, again, is really to beef up bus stops, to have a good, safe pedestrian crossing, to have comfortable, nice waiting area, to do a little bit. Now, there's shelters today there, but we're also moving away from our standard shelters, kind of like a boxy greenhouse. And in the South, I don't think you really want to stand in a greenhouse. Looking at something that maybe has more open air circulation, but still good cover, nice seating, always opportunity for public art, but also can provide connectivity to other modes of transportation. Have bicycle parking, scooter corrals. I know CDOT, Charlotte Department of Transportation, is exploring how to get scooters to more of Charlotte, not just kind of the inner core uptown and nearby neighborhoods like Noda, Midwood, South End, but also especially our outer neighborhoods like Derita in those communities. So let me again give that context real quick. I know you have a very full agenda, so I just want to stress that the bus plan is very important. Even though Derita is fortunate enough to be on the red line, that's exciting, especially now that it's no longer sitting on the shelf, as it were, but has some momentum again. That's really just part of the plan, right? That's your regional link to the rest of the region, to North Mecklenburg and to Uptown, but your local connections and really your more robust service and connectivity is going to still be primarily bus, as well as a new tool called microtransit that I'm also going to explain. And so when we think about Envision My Ride, that was the foundation for Better Bus, really is trying to create more frequency, right? I mean, that's why people like rail, is because rail tends to operate more frequently. You don't have to worry so much about schedule. Bus, when it runs more often, is a better service, a more attractive service. Also needs to be more direct. If a bus goes here and there, it doesn't compete as well in travel time. And also needs to provide more crosstown connections, because although it's important to maintain the connectivity between Derita and Uptown or Derita and University, there's many other places folks want to go. And so having more connectivity, more crosstown connections is important all across Greater Mecklenburg and beyond. And so when we look at the foundation, we have a lot of tools in our toolbox that really can improve and modernize transit, right? Keep transit competitive in the modern world and make it an attractive option for people to consider. And of course, many people rely on it. People of various ages, driving abilities, or vehicle availability, but we want to make an attractive choice too for folks that this is a competitive option. And so there's a lot of things in those toolbox, and we will provide these slides because for time's sake, I'm not going to go through all these, and we have discussion available or questions later. So again, the key recommendations though for that foundation were really 3 pillars: having high frequency route network, make more bus routes more like a train, more direct, more frequency, and ultimately those stop stations, hubs should be stops and should be like a station, more like a hub, an attractive place with comfortable seating and cover and a nice place to wait and transfer. And those transfers be minimized by having frequency, not having too much of a wait between connections. But we realize though too, big bus cannot go everywhere. And so the latest technology is to use smaller vehicles in the mix, microtransit zones that can actually help provide more first and last mile connections where big bus cannot go. And so when you think of that toolbox, you may have seen a similar slide, actually, if you participate in red line meetings, right? What is the difference for rail between like commuter rail, light rail, and streetcar? Well, in the bus toolbox, there's also these things that we have today, of course, a lot of local bus services like the 22-gram route, but we also have in our toolbox, express or enhanced bus like Sprinter, or even bus rapid transit. Of course, that's been the news of late and might be considered for Southeast Charlotte, potentially when we update our system plan. But microtransit is a great new tool in that toolbox as well. Basically allows transit to compete like with the Ubers and Lyfts of the world and deploy a smaller fleet like vans that can be wheelchair accessible, even maybe load your bicycle onto, and provide grouped rides, but with smaller vehicles that can get closer to your destination, go places that big bus can't go. And most importantly, remember, frequency is freedom. So instead of having that big bus on a schedule that's more in your direct corridors, your higher density corridors, now you have smaller vehicles on demand. And so you get effective frequency that basically can be deployed when you want to take it. So you don't have that empty bus searching for people and trying to squiggle down multiple side roads, but you have the deployment of little vehicles that go out to people using a smartphone, a call center, or web portal to book that trip when they want it. So again, that overall comprehensive plan vision was, and it was adopted in May 2022 by our Metropolitan Transit Commission as the guiding framework, just similar to our system plan that had those components. So let's talk a little bit more about Better Bus and what we're expecting with this newest initiative. So again, Better Bus is really the implementation strategies, implementation planning for a lot of those emission by ride principles to actually see what near term we can do. And if we were to secure additional funding, what we could really do. But we're currently starting off with a more cost-constrained framework of seeing what those immediate priorities are, what we can do, like say in the next 2 years, but knowing there could be momentum with possible additional funding of what we could invest in further thereafter. And so again, why change buses, right? People, oh, it's bus, it's antiquated, but no, trains won't be able to go everywhere, right? Derita is fortunate to at least get a station, but only so many people can get to that station, walk to that station, bike to that station. Bus can, and microtransit can provide additional connectivity to access places. We do need to make those trips go faster. In that toolbox, there were things like bus lanes and transit signal priority that can compete in the reality that Charlotte's growing. It has a lot of traffic congestion to make bus a competitive mode. We need to, of course, be cognizant that we're an essential mode also for folks like seniors or individuals who lack a vehicle, or even if it's temporarily. We need to overall improve access, and not just within Derita, but obviously connectivity throughout all communities. So where we are in this process, we're just now in phase 1, wrapping up. This kind of introduction and awareness of this effort. But we're getting ready to transition to phase 2, and we do expect to come back to you with kind of what are our draft recommendations. Joseph's been a great advocate of noting, and so did Teresa note, like Hubbard Road and University City Boulevard and Gibbon Road as corridors today that lack bus service. So we have some considerations, both when we think of it in terms of that near term, what's more cost constrained, as well as long term if we were to secure additional funding. So for example, you might say University City Boulevard, since it already has bus stops or pads built with the sidewalks connecting between Graham Street and IKEA area, that might be a easier, more cost-effective option to implement sooner than say Gibbon Road or Hubbard Road. They're nice roads, but they don't necessarily have the infrastructure yet in place to support bus route today. Well, maybe those are candidates instead for microtransit, where you can deploy the smaller vehicles. So we'd be coming back with some of those key concepts and start prioritizing what's kind of more near term versus longer term in terms of those transit expansions. So again, great to be here. You have already won the game somewhat to be at the forefront in terms of early investments. And this does not depend on any tax referendum or anything. This is a committed grant, so this is already a project that is happening. But in that project as a mobility hub definitely fits within our toolbox of innovative things we can do with transit. But what kind of your thoughts on, well, that hub, additional transit needs, and really what are important tools that would help make transit more attractive in the modern world?
Brian, before I open up the questions for others, I just wanted to ask you, do you mind touching on the routes and the new routes and improvements to existing routes that you project coming online as part of once this is fully implemented, and also the timeline of when you expect this to go live?
Yes. So it's bus is basically phased. That unlike a rail project that you might build a significant segment at a time, the benefit of bus is you can do more incrementally improvements. But let's say first what the big picture is. The big picture was to add additional service on more crosstown connectivity, like say on Gibbon Road, and connectivity over to university areas, as well as connectivity down across Sugar Creek, because today we don't have bus service on Sugar Creek Road between Graham Street and I-85. So all those corridors were connections. But now what we're hearing, as you know, is there's other opportunities. And so, for example, University City Boulevard, because it was built as a new street with modern thinking of all users in mind, including bicycles, cyclists, pedestrians, and transit users, it included concrete space for future bus stops. And so even though that wasn't necessarily in the Envision My Ride maps, it would maybe be opportune now with Better Bus to think about what's near-term cost-effective, that would maybe make sense, as maybe that should be prioritized over Gibbon Road, which it does have a relatively new sidewalk, but it's only on one side and doesn't really provide curb access or road access for bus stops, or Hubbard Road that doesn't have bus stops either. So all those could still be long-term priorities, but maybe it makes sense to prioritize one over the other first. That's what we're trying to work through. And given the Derita hub coming online in say 2 years, obviously more connectivity to that hub. So Sugar Creek Road too would seem like a priority to connect. That's one of our top requests actually for service. So that's what we're trying to figure out is we can't do everything at once, but maybe Sugar Creek Road, University City Boulevard would be bus route priorities first, and then also looking at microtransit, given the status of the Derita hub, they'd have opportunity to transfer between bus and microtransit.
One thing I found interesting too was frequency, like the 22 route. You're prioritizing the 22 route, which goes through Derita. And I think right now during the weekdays, it's maybe every 30 minutes. And,
that's correct.
And on weekends, it's every 40 minutes. And I think what I read on the headways, it's going to be like every 15 minutes during the weekdays and 30 minutes on the weekends, right?
That's what Vision My Ride had suggested. So in that same principle, we're looking at what, I identified 20 high frequency routes, and Graham was one of them. And so we're trying to see, well, what makes sense to go first? And having the Derita hub probably helps, weigh the scales a little bit for 22 Graham to be one of those earlier investments. Now, a cost-effective thing could maybe be that Graham bus maybe turns on University City Boulevard to go more directly over to the Lanks Blue Line, like near the Walmart IKEA area, or even continue up to the University Hospital and J.W. Clay. But then new routing would cover then Mallard Creek Road and Sugar Creek Road. But those would interface at the Derita hub, but then you have that, that high frequency service on Graham and University City Boulevard.
Yeah, so that would mean, so that would be like, like a 22 would prospectively go, continue on Mallard Creek Road until it got to the Graham intersection, turn right, then go to the left turn on University City. Is that kind of what you're suggesting?
Well, yeah, I mean, and we're,
Okay.
we're just
I know
going
this
from
is just
phase 1 to
speculative.
phase 2, so that is not a done deal, but like that's an emerging recommendation we would bring back to y'all and get your feedback.
Okay.
But that's what we're hearing, right? Is that you want everybody wants everything long term, all the recommendations to be built someday. But when we're thinking about what we could do sooner, given the status of Derita hub, given the status of University City Boulevard and its infrastructure, and trying to see how to make Graham Street have more buses, more frequency sooner, maybe if we shorten the route slightly, make it straighter, faster, by instead of continuing out Mallard Creek Road to Harris, turning onto University City Boulevard from Graham or Derita community.
Plus it'll provide service to like some of the neighborhoods, like down Forest Pond can have access to it as well. So yeah, so anyway, yeah, that's all. And then just me personally, I'm happy to hear this. I'm predominantly, we're a one-car household, and I bike to supplement that. And so this seems to me like a great addition, and I would probably ride the 22 a lot more if it were a lot more frequent, right? Just it's not always practical. So
Right. Or a shorter walk to get to the stop too, right?
yeah. Jack, your hand is raised. Is that raised from earlier, or did you have a question?
I do have a question. Thank you for the presentation. Very much appreciated. And I look forward to going through the slides at a little more leisurely pace. But one of the things you mentioned 4 or 5 times is cost effective. Can you help me understand how these different, and I also appreciate very much the different modes for different needs. I think that's one of the things a lot of people and you know that have been negative on the train the transit the trains have looked at a lot of them, and they're looking at, you know, $23-24 per rider, when the cost recovery on that is $235 or whatever it happens to be now. I've been working at home for the last 4 years, so I've been blessed to not have to worry about that. But I am kind of wondering, how do you define cost effective? Is there a percentage that you need to be able to recover in order to make that mode of transportation available, or how is that defined?
Sure. It's basically relative to current costs and or industry, right? So by the means, it's not a full recovery though. Fare recovery is very small in everything, all things transit. New York City subway even is largely subsidized, or at least the third overall. Or, you know, so all transit, because it creates a public benefit, has subsidy. What we mean by cost effective is making sure that we're minimizing that subsidy, and it's in a positive trend that, you know, creating more ridership and creating more benefit, right? For the bang for the buck, the return on the investment. And so when we compare options, that's also two where you think cost effective. So microtransit is most competitive where it is replacing or providing service where a bus in comparison would have a much higher subsidy per passenger, right? So it's basically going to be most competitive to replace or expand areas where we don't expect at least 10 passengers per hour on a bus. But it's also a great tool where we don't think a bus, you know, could safely operate anyway, you know, or get closer to where, you know, if you have more land use patterns that are lower density, or the destinations are farther from the road, not a good walk, it can be a really great stopgap to try to see what potential market there is. And if it emerges that there's a lot of people taking it, you can introduce a route for certain trips that are being requested all the time. So that's what we mean, as well as, you know, I mentioned the bus stops. We live in a, you know, world that the ADA, Americans with Disabilities Act, has been around since 1990. It's a law, civil rights law, and we can't ignore it any longer. We shouldn't have any time ignored it. And when we introduce new bus service, we have to make sure all new bus stops are fully accessible. But that means you either have to build the bus stops before you run a bus line, or you got to take advantage of where there's built environment that you can already incorporate bus stops. So that's why, you know, Hubbard Road or Gibbon Road, the lack of that infrastructure makes it less cost effective to put that service in, because there's a capital cost as well as the operating cost to do so.
I know that's the things that they're talking about as far as the UDO goes, as far as requiring that when they go through the rezoning process. So rather than retrofitting it, you're actually looking at it and forecasting it into the future, which I think is fantastic. I actually have had the pleasure of being having ridden on one of the few, if not the only, profitable transit line in America, which is known as the Tijuana Trolley, going from San Diego to Tijuana. And it is amazing the number of people that they can put on that thing. But once you get the supply and the demand to equate, you can start turning a lot of options available to you. And I've also written up in the Northeast between Boston and some of the surrounding areas, as well as Washington, D.C. So you see where the demand equates to the supply in the mode of provision, if you will. Thank you for the answer.
Yes, thank you. And I'll just real quick say, we don't have to always build those bus stops. Yes, if we set them up, and thanks to a lot of what you are doing when you review land development, think about, and I think this is happening, the UDOs, if you require sidewalks, it's not that much more to require a bus stop. It's just a little bit more concrete. And so if there's that rational nexus of, a big enough development to build sidewalk, it really should be trying to set up the bus stop, especially if it's higher density, right? Apartments, commercial type land uses. So thanks for having us. I think you have full agenda, so unless there are any questions, be happy
Okay.
to hand it
Anybody
back.
else? Anybody else have questions? Any questions for Walter on the more macro level corridors of opportunity? Okay. We will Brian and Walter, really want to thank you very much for giving your time today. I'm going to move on to the next part of the agenda. And I just wanted to share an update with everybody here. Can everybody hear me? Okay, good. This slide is slightly outdated. Charlotte did move forward with purchasing the agreement to purchase the right-of-way from Norfolk Southern on that O-line. So that's the first step, and I think they also on Monday night approved a resolution to ask the state of North Carolina to add a sales tax to our ballot referendum. I believe it'll be on there for the 2025 election. So those are some so that will be a countywide vote. Of which I believe the initial breakdown of the sales tax would be like 60% to go towards public transportation and 40% to go to roadways. Did I get that correct, Brian? Or did I flip it around?
Sorry, I was multitasking.
No worries. I know you're not in the, just 60 to public transportation, 40 to
roads. Yes. Yeah. Well, roads can be bikes too, but yes, basically 40% cap for rail.
I did it backwards.
20%, yeah, and then 20% for bus. But that now, obviously, sausage making, that's going to be up to the state legislature. But that was kind of the compromise that local folks have been negotiating with state folks.
Yeah. So that's where we are right now. We're the state next year will work on this and get it. We'll know soon whether or not we'll have permission to add this as a ballot initiative for the 2025 election. Jack.
You mentioned that the map is a little bit out of date. Do you know which stop?
No,
what area of the map is out of date? I'm curious if Derita is going to be affected south of the Harris NC 115 stop.
Yeah, the map, I think this is the same map that's been on the books since 2008. So from what I understand, that map is I've gone to some of the engagement sessions, and from what I learned from the consultants there, the entire map is basically out of date. They're going to have to do studies to research, like, this is generally where the stops are going to go. But like, for example, Derita was considering a place that's now a storage shed facility. So there's a lot of site studies they're going to have to go into, determining exactly where these sites are going to go. And also they're strongly considering adding a Camp North End stop between Derita and the Gateway station. So, but the thing that was out of date was the slide. The slide is saying that that there will be a vote, but that's already happened. The vote occurred Monday night, so that was what was outdated that I was referring to.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah, probably that's a long-winded way to say just this. Sorry about that.
Are you good?
Are there? That's really all I have about the red line. There's nothing really new. Brian, is there anything that, or Walt, is there anything that you know of that should be added to this?
I just real quick expand on that. Yes, Camp North End is being considered as an additional station. There is concern, but it would be with community input gathered of whether or not that should be offset with a different station. And my understanding, there will definitely be extensive community engagement, though, if that is the recommendation or merging idea before it happens. But basically, because the travel time will increase by adding a station. But from what I'm hearing, it's not going to be Derita or even Harris that potentially would be the eliminated station, but that will be a public process to think about. If you add Camp North End, does another station need to maybe be consolidated or moved, or what happens?
Thank you, Brian. You inferred my question quite precisely. Thank you.
Welcome.
Very good, very good. Are there any other questions or just any comments, engagement about the red line? All right, let's move on to the next topic on the agenda. Let's skip back up to, where's it at? Puckets. Teresa texted me some information about that. Here is the update from NHE, which is a developer on Puckett site redevelopment. We did receive information that we're in line to receive a housing tax credit allocation. We've asked our civil engineer, architect, and environmental consultant to go full steam ahead. Hopefully, I'll have some drawings to share at next month's meeting, October. That's that's the update. There's really that's all I have. But I know this has been a kind of an ongoing discussion in this group for several years, and more intensely since this opportunity presented itself. Are there any? I may not be able to answer a lot of questions. Teresa is the one who's just more well-versed and has been more plugged into this specifics and then connecting with NHE on a more regular basis. But I'll be happy to entertain any questions or comments about this.
Do you know if NHE has an option on the property at this point, or where are they at in the process? Have they taken an option?
I don't know, but I'm gonna write that down and and convey that to Teresa.
Okay. I know we've had a lot of interest in the property, but the majority, if not not all of it, has required some participation at the city, state, or federal level for subsidies. And I'm just kind of wondering where this stands in relationship to that.
Oh yeah, they're set to get the sub. From the most I have from that is that the text that Teresa sent me is that they are confident they're going to get the subsidy to a point that they're ready to start spending money on these other activities.
Gotcha.
And
thank you.
But I'll take your question and convey it to Teresa for her to get back to you, or maybe put something out in an email form post meeting. What other any other questions about this, or just comments? All right, so yeah, this will be a big deal. I wish we could find a way to avoid that 4-foot offset that they're making us do on Sugar Creek, but that just may be what it is. All right, so. All right, I checked with Teresa. There are no ongoing rezonings in our area at this time. Let's see, but let's just go through. Well, here are some, I guess, because I asked her last night. There's 24 20, and I'm sorry, I haven't had time to kind of dig in on what each of these are. But there are 3 rezonings in the area. And
Excuse me, Joseph, can I ask a question?
yes.
I'm seeing there on Gibbon Road, the red dot on Gibbon Road, or red little area, and the blue line says withdrawn by right. What does that mean? Do you know?
Well, by right means that they are able to move forward with a development on the parcel because they are in compliance with the current zoning requirements. Their plan meets
Do
the
you or
current.
anyone on this call happen to know what they're building along Gibbon Road right there on the end toward Old Statesville? And it may have been discussed on here before and I just missed it.
I'm not aware of that. And the thing that I would say, hey, let's go to the zoning site. You could, I would talk you through how to look it up so you could see more about it. But the other way you can do it, do you know how to go to GIS? And you'd have to figure out what the parcel number is or the address of that site is specifically.
Yeah, that's what I'm not really sure of.
Okay,
If you go to the GIS, otherwise known as Polaris, you can do a road search, and that should give you the parcel. And then from the parcel, you should be able to transfer over to the rezoning and then pull it up. The other option, if you do a drive-by, you should have a big yellow sign out there somewhere. They're not too, shall we say, proactive on removing signs. So it may still have a rezoning sign, the big Z.
Yeah, I don't know. They've started clearing the land. I haven't, if it does say if this yellow sign, rezoning sign is out there, it'll tell me the number or something? Is that what you're saying, Joe?
Correct. Yes.
Okay, I'll have to look for that. Okay.
Yeah, and
Look for it'll either be a 2023 with a 3-digit number or 2024 with a 3-digit number.
Okay.
Yeah, and so what I will do is also I will send them. I'll make sure Teresa gets your feedback that you're looking for more information. Would you like me to do that, Jill?
Yeah, I would. Yeah, sure, of course. Like I said, I'm sure she's probably. I feel like we've probably been discussed on here before, and I just somehow zoned out during that moment or something.
Hey, if you want to do some dirt, hide it in a zoning process. So that's I don't know. So I mean that's where it's the most zoning is the most boring in a name seeming but most highly consequential aspect of local government.
Yeah, and I'm just highly concerned about all the building that they're doing on Gibbon Road because they've now put in the storage facility. They've built houses on about every piece of land along through there, but the traffic on that road is just crazy and it's just getting worse and worse. So that's why I was curious.
Yeah, and the thing about by rights is it doesn't give the public an opportunity to engage with the city because that's already been determined.
Oh, okay, great.
That's
nice.
For that type of use. But yeah, Teresa, she usually keeps up with all these type of things that are going on. So
I believe that number is 2023-177, 3.33 acres. 177. If you go to the front page of City of Charlotte zoning, it has a nice map, and you can pull up that red square off that map, which is what appears to be what Teresa did to create that image. So again, that number is 2023-177.
Wow.
Okay. And that number again is the parcel number?
No, that number is the rezoning number. I was able to skip the interim.
Okay.
So that's the one that's been withdrawn. So then, and she's not sure if it's by right because that's what the question mark's for. Is it by right? Because there's already building going on.
Okay.
Yeah. So but that would give you an idea of what they may have changed the site plan to make it by right or something or whatever to move forward with what their construction was. You can probably ask, there should be like an email address to the planning official that's helping facilitate that petition for the petition.
And it's not like I can do anything about it at this point. I'm just curious. That's what it is.
Yeah, they may be able to answer your question though. There should be an email address to the planning planning staff person on the city. And
Joe, if it helps, Max, MAXX .Oliver, OLIVER @charlottenc.gov. Phone number 704-336-3571. Petitioner was Mungo, MUNGO Homes. It is in Councilman Graham's district.
All right, great. Perfect. I got all of that. Thank you.
Yeah, so that's that kind of, and every single zoning petition has that sort of information on it. And so it's a great place to start to get information. They can sometimes connect you with the attorney. And so you can start having conversations out and get more insight. But Teresa may have insight as well. I think she's doing her zoning committee meeting I think she's doing her first zoning committee meeting. She said, is it tonight? I mean, it's the third Monday here, but I wonder if they're just making up for lost time due to the July hiatus. I don't know. But
looks like that original rezoning application was for a residential community containing single family attached units.
Okay. So like duplex, not duplexes, but like
was that a townhome?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I don't know, like, and I don't quite know all the construction lingo, but I would think like an attached unit would be like a duplex could be attached, a triplex could be attached, and townhomes could be attached. But I'm just kind of spitballing on that, to be honest. That's my hunch, because they all are attached, right? So that's my hunch, but I don't know if there's a specific construction jargon or builder's jargon that would be more accurate to describe that.
However, it does say status withdrawn, so who knows?
Yeah, so maybe, but they're building, so that's why Teresa had the question on the slide of by right.
Right, okay, got it.
Yeah.
If you check the chat, I put the contact information for the applicant in the chat.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
So here's some approvals. Approximately the 10 acres were located on the east side of West Sugar Creek Road and the north side of Roman Road were rezoned to institutional campus 1. So that, and this was to bring the cemetery, to bring the facility into compliance as a cemetery. They have to have at least 100 acres on their site. And so the family that owns the cemetery has been slowly over the past 15-20 years have been buying up parcels abutting the cemetery. They do plan on keeping the houses, the structures, and maintaining them as just institutional facilities for their business. But this is part of an agreement that they had to make. This is part of a fulfilling agreement that they made back in 1990. The city entered with them back in 1996. So I would have liked to see those. There was a significant amount of land that, like a 5-acre parcel that's going over to this, that I would have loved to have seen stay available for residential development in the midst of the housing crisis, but it just didn't fit what their business was. So that's 2024-39, and then 2024-42. This is 4.92 acres located on the west side of Hubbard Road. That's let's see, where's that? Is that on the map here? Where's Hubbard Road? I can't see Hubbard Road on here. Looks like it just got taken off. It's not on this map. It got withdrawn. It's a by right. They're moving over to a by right product. So this is the parcel that we've been talking about for the past few months. So they're going to build 33 attached townhomes on the site. But it looks like, I don't know if they modified the site plan just to make it a by right product that they wouldn't have to get rezoning on. I'm not sure. This is just some information. The Derita Statesville Association is interested in getting a volunteer to pay attention to county meetings and agenda items that are relevant to the Derita area. If you are interested, please get with Teresa. You can send an email to the Derita Matters email. Let's see. This is just Teresa. Does anybody have more insight on the parks, the plans for the parks? I just don't have a lot of insight on the future parks being planned for the area. I just don't want to speak out of pocket, but I will say there's like a future park plan for somewhere off of IBM Road. There's a park plan in Two Springs. There's a park plan off of Grand Street. Looks like, oh, right. I think that park, isn't that a parcel right off of Royal Oaks, right? There's a parcel right off of Royal Oaks that if you ride by it, there's abutting Royal Oaks. There's some county-owned land. It just says owned by Mecklenburg County. It's fenced off, or there's some kind of sign. I can't remember. But that's going to be off of Graham Street. Of course, we have the Ribbon Walk Park, which is great. I'm not quite sure what Teresa was wanting to convey, but here's probably the call to action. Top right corner, refer to the MEC playbook. So I will make sure Teresa includes a link to the MEC playbook. But this is an opportunity to ID opportunities in your neighborhood to add small parks and greenway connections. And greenway connections are great. As a cyclist, I would love to see more greenway connections and just ways to connect neighborhoods for pedestrians and bikers. It's something that could potentially, in my opinion, make this area a more holistic place for everyone to get around and get places more easily, especially with those two gigantic stroads that they built close to me specifically, but just in our area. But that's just my take on it. But yeah, so I don't quite know exactly what Teresa was going to say about this, but I just wanted to touch on it. Here's a working list of park and greenway opportunities. Does anybody have any questions or any comments about parks? What's your take on the possibility of more parks in the area?
Can you go back to the previous slide, Joseph?
Yes.
There is a gray square between Clark's Creek, Mallard Creek Greenway above Teresa Elders. It looks like that's some kind of a park, but it's unlabeled. Yeah, that right there. I'm not sure what that is. If you could pass it on to Teresa to label that, it would be beneficial.
Okay. So that like olive green square above Teresa Elders.
Correct. It basically looks like a triangle in its current configuration.
Yeah. And I think this is a piggyback on a discussion that I missed last month. I just accidentally missed the meeting last month. But the Michael's Landing has there's one close to me that there's a city-owned parcel, but I don't know if there's any plans to make that a park. Maybe we should have like someone like Kevin Brickman come on and or someone like that or talk about that. But these are some of the HOA owned properties that are suitable for greenway connections. And just as someone who's used the greenway to get places, sometimes it's a bit convoluted, but I do enjoy it as a cycling option when I'm going places. And I think that's it on the slides. Wait, let me see, I want to make sure. Okay, so here's some events that are in the works. At some point in fall, we're going to have a celebration of the Derita sign installation on site. There's going to be a food truck with picnic tables, test concept of a gathering space, probably in October. We're working on a fall 2024 James Walk with Charlotte Urbanists. This is a group that advocates for, and I've participated in some of their stuff, for better urbanism through boots on the ground education. So what this will be is an exploration of downtown Derita to evaluate strengths, opportunities, and threats. I don't know, but and threats to a vibrant, walkable, safe, and pleasant environment. They're looking for like a November date for that, and then look for December 24th to be. There will be an in-person Derita Matters gathering holiday party. For the first Saturday in December from 2 to 4, location to be decided. Here's the current construction that's going on: Griffith Lakes, Harris Boulevard, Haven Ridge. Let's see if the Gibbon Road is on here. Nope. But these are some of the current constructions in the area. These are the approved rezonings. Oh wow, the Keziahs is under renovation, and the strip mall across from Keziahs. And I'm sorry if I'm not as coherent on this as Teresa. These are our elected officials for the city. We have Dante Anderson from District 1, which covers part of Derita. Malcolm Graham from District 2, which covers, these all three, and Renee Johnson. And all of our district falls under District 3 for George Dunlap and county representative. Speaking of which, let's get to some announcements. Archwell Health is going to have an all about seniors town hall this next Thursday from 5:30 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. And George Dunlap will be there. This is also be an opportunity to officials from the city of Charlotte, Mecklenburg County, and voter registration officials will be there as well. And RSVP is required. So does anyone need a minute to write down this information? We will send the slides out at a later time, by the way. All right, and let's see. And this is an effort called the Buy Nothing Group. It's for neighbors in the area, and it offers people a way to give and receive, share and lend, and express gratitude through hyper local gifting economies. So if you want to find out more information about this, you can find them on Facebook. And again, this will be in the slides. Derita News, Teresa publishes regular updates into the Derita News email channel, and so you should look for those. And here's Teresa's information. So if you have any questions for her about the meeting, she's actually the best resource. I'm just I'm struggling to fill in her steed, but she is she's really very well connected in the know of everything that's going on in the Derita area, and she'll take your referrals. So anyway, that's all I have. Is there anything from the regulars that usually gets covered that I may have missed that needs to be touched on?
Just a real quick comment. A little bit of crime came home to roost with the American Legion Post 345. We had somebody break into our post off Bockham Road and did a probably a couple $1,000s worth of damage, just malicious mischief. But we are trying to get the post back. It is happening. We only have one broken window. We got to get a glazier out, and we are making it available to any community organization that needs a meeting place. We're going to be having the American Diabetes Association, I believe, will be starting to come out there and meet at our location. Anybody else wants to, I would love to hear from you, interface with the community. If you know of anybody that served in the military that is not necessarily a veteran, have them give me a call. We'd love to see our membership grow and see if we can't revitalize the post. Thank you for your time.
That's no problem. How many, like for a meeting or something, how many people could it hold?
One of the nice things about it is it does have a kitchen facility. It's basically a 4-bedroom, 2-bath house.
Okay.
We have probably 50 chairs in the main area, and then we have a enclosed patio. We have a kitchen. Facilities are available, et cetera, et cetera.
Sounds good. Thanks for expanding on that. Anybody else have anything else they would like to plug or pitch before we go? All right. Well, thank you guys.
Well done, Joseph. Well done, sir.
Yeah. Thank you, everybody. You will, I promise that next time you will be back into the far more capable hands of Teresa McDonald.
You did a great
And
job.
but I do appreciate everyone here bearing with me, and you have a great rest of your day and a great rest of your week. I'll see you soon. Take care.